What's going on, my Century Gunners? It's the Sentiment here, so back again with another classic WWE pay-per-view review. This time staying into the Ruthless Aggression era, travelling back to the year of 2003 to review the first ever SmackDown exclusive pay-per-view, that is Vengeance 2003. So this show was at the Pepsi Center, right now it's called the Ball Arena in Denver, Colorado, on the 27th of July 2003. The attendance of the show was 9,500. Vengeance 2003 received about 365,000 pay-per-view buys, downgrade than the previous year's Vengeance from 2002. That show drew about 375,000 pay-per-view buys. Yeah, it's gone down by 10. And another comparison, Raw, the previous month, did their first ever brand exclusive pay-per-view. That is Bad Blood 03. And that show drew about 385,000 pay-per-view buys. I reviewed Bad Blood 03 a couple years ago on this channel. Go and check it out. That's known for the Hell in the Cell match between Triple H and Kevin Nash, Goldberg versus Chris Jericho, Shawn Michaels versus Ric Flair, and also you got the Rennick Triathlon between both GMs of Raw, Eric Bischoff and Stone Cold Steve Austin. Go and check it out. It's on my classic WWE pay-per-view review playlist. Anyway, so the commentators for Vengeance 03, we got Michael Cole and Taz. So this show is memorable. Like I said, this is the first SmackDown exclusive pay-per-view. You had the first ever match between John Cena versus The Undertaker, a really good triple threat match in the main event. Zach Gowen's first pay-per-view match in the company against the owner of the company, Vince McMahon. And a really good tag team title match, that's later on in this review. So let's do some quick, and also I forgot to mention this is the one and only SmackDown branded Vengeance show, because the following year Vengeance became a Raw branded pay-per-view for a few years. I think it was between 04, 05 and 06, and the 2007 one was a trio branded pay-per-view, and then they got rid of that, brought it back in 2011, and got rid of that again. They brought it back as a NXT TakeOver show. Another show I reviewed in the past, that is NXT TakeOver Vengeance Day. Go and check out that one. That was the 2021 Vengeance Day show. Anyway, so let's do some quick results of the dark match. Oh, actually, it's not really a dark match. It's basically on an episode of Heat. It's the Heat before the pay-per-view. Anyway, this is like decades before, or basically 10 years before, 10 and 20 years before they start doing like pre-match shows on YouTube. Anyway, so the only match on Heat, you had the Ultimo Dragon defeat Chris Kanyon in 4 minutes and 4 seconds. Kanyon was not really doing much in WWE. He ended up getting released in 2004. It's really sad for him. He ended up like taking his own life. He committed suicide. This was a few years after he opened up the public, and revealed that he was gay. That's another story, another time. I don't really want to talk about it, Anyway, so we got about 8 matches on the show, 3 championship matches, 1 no count-out catfight match, and a invitational barroom brawl. Anyway, so the first match to kick off Vengeance 2003. This is the finals of the WWE United States Championship Tournament. Eddie Guerrero taking on Chris Benoit. So they brought back the United States Championship for the first time, like since WCW days. Yeah, they brought it back. They brought the United States title to the company in 2001, part of the Invasion storyline. But unfortunately, that United States title was really a prop. It really not really give a lot of respect. Most of the WCW titles they had, I think they brought the tag team titles, the World Heavyweight Championship, the mid-card belts, but maybe the hardcore title, I'm not too sure, but the tag team and the United States title belts, they're not really given a lot of respect. So anyway, so they decided to bring back the United States title because the United States title is basically SmackDown's brand exclusive mid-card championship, trying to counter Raw's Intercontinental Championship. Yeah, they brought it back in May. So, giving the mid-card a chance to compete for a title, because before that you only got the World Championship, that's the WWE Championship, the Tag Team Championship, and the Cruiserweight Championship. So, it's a good decision to have a mid-card belt. Anyway, so yeah, the final two in this United States Championship tournament are Eddie Guerrero, Chris Benoit. Anyway, so there were a lot of contenders to be could be the first ever United States Championship in WWE. Like John Cena was doing the rapping gimmick, Matt Hardy doing the V1 gimmick. There was a lot of contenders, but for whatever reason, But it was okay for, on paper, Eddie Guerrero, Chris Benoit. You got two former members of the Radicals. Michael Cole on commentary. He kind of put over the United States Championship. Get that title a good start. He brought up the first winner of the United States Champion. That was Harley Race. And he brings up a list of guys who hold on to that belt or won the belt. And he said, one of these two guys in this match will be added to the list. But to be honest, Eddie Guerrero and Chris Benoit, did won the United States title in WCW. Benoit went on to become Eddie was a Cruiserweight champion. No, I don't think Eddie was TV champion. Benoit was United States champion, TV champion. I think he was tag team champion with Dean Malenko. I'm not too sure. And he was the world champion in his final match in the company before going to WWF, taking Eddie Guerrero, Perry Saturn, and Dean Malenko with him to form the Radicals. Anyway, this match is really good, man. It's a technical masterpiece, because both Eddie and Benoit, they have some good chemistry. I think they wrestled in ECW for a bit before they end up going to WCW. I think they wrestled there. I think they wrestled in Japan. This was in early in the 90s between their runs in ECW and WCW. I'm not too sure. Don't quote me on it. Anyway, so it was a technical style match. I think I'll really enjoy it. I think one more of the match, I think it was Benoit or Eddie did a suicide dive. The fans, and also I forgot the backstory. Eddie's entered this match as a heel. He was kind of like a babyface. I think Chavo got hurt, so Eddie was teaming up with Tajiri. He kind of blamed Tajiri. I think they lost the tag team titles, I think, and then you had Eddie kind of slam Tajiri onto Eddie's car. That's the lowrider. Onto the window of the lowrider, and then also the go home. You had Eddie spraying car wax in the eyes of Chris Benoit, and also the fans were really cheering for Eddie a little bit, even though Eddie was a heel. You got a little bit of Eddie sucks chance, but you can tell they're slowly getting behind Eddie because I think his gimmick was getting over. Eddie's the lying, cheating, and stealing heel. This is 2 years before he ended up becoming the serious heel in his feud with Rey Mysterio. Anyway, the whole bulk of the match, you had Benoit working on the arm not working on the arm, he kind of locking the cripple crossface onto Eddie Guerrero. And, one more of the match, Eddie reached the ropes. I think the referee, I think it was Mike Chioda. Chioda trying to wrestle Benoit off, trying to get the hold off of Eddie because Eddie reached the ropes. That's a rope break. And then I think one more of the match, Eddie kind of threw the referee. I think it was push the referee. I think Eddie pushed Benoit onto the referee or pushed the referee onto Benoit. It's vice versa. Anyway, so Eddie was doing this. I think he kind of grabbed the United States title belt, smacked Benoit into the face with the belt. And then he's doing this playing possum, he's laying on the floor and no referee. That's kind of funny. He does that. If you watch an Eddie Guerrero match, he always do lay on the ground, trying to frame people. But in this match, it did not work. And then Benoit locking the cripple crossface onto Eddie. Eddie tap out, but the referee did not see. Then out comes Rhino. Rhino was teaming up with Benoit, but don't know what is the reason. It's not like Rhino and Benoit had an ECW connection because Benoit left WCW years after Rhino joined the company. Maybe it has to do, you know, both Rhino and Benoit have history of neck injuries. So anyway, Rhino came out, you know, he thought he's gonna hit Eddie with the gore, but instead he hit Benoit with the gore, and in the end, not Benoit. Before that, I think it was Benoit and Eddie. Eddie did a frog splash off the top rope. Benoit got out of the way. Anyway, so in the end, Eddie hit the frog splash onto Benoit to win this match and become the United States Championship. Yeah, it was a really good opener. I think it was a good way to have the United States Championship kick off this pay-per-view. And, you know, I don't think if one of them lose, I don't think it's going to hurt them, because I think at this moment in time, Eddie and Benoit are established stars of this brand. You know, what's it called? The SmackDown 6, you know, at the time. You know, they're kind of like the workhorses of SmackDown at the time. 2002, 2003, this has got to be heyday for SmackDown in the first brand split. You know, they focus more on the work rate, and you could say the character development. Raw, on the other hand, not saying it was shit compared to right now in the current timeline, but yeah, you still got the Reign of Terror. You got some good workers like Shawn Michaels and Chris Jericho. You know, but I think SmackDown was kind of like the superior brand. So Eddie ended up turning babyface, you know, and I think they reunite. Yeah, Eddie kind of reunite with Chavo. You know, I think they went on to, I think they won the tag team titles. I think they were tag team titles. You know. Anyway, they were no, they were not tag team champions. My apologies. I thought they were tag team champions. They were in the tag team. My apologies. You know, cost them the tag team titles. You know, my apologies. You know. Anyway, this was after. Yeah, that when Eddie slammed Tajiri onto the windshield of the lowrider. But anyway, so Eddie ended up turning babyface and reunite with Chavo, and they end up, I think they're winning the tag team titles, and you know, yeah, Los Guerreros, and then Eddie went on to hold the United States Championship until I think it was October of that year. He ended up dropping the belt to the Big Show, and then they ended up dropping the tag team titles to the Bashams. That's another story for another time. But besides that, I think it was a really good match. You know, good chemistry between, like I said, good chemistry between Eddie and Benoit. I think it was a good. Go and watch it, man. It's really it's technical style wrestling. You're not going to get a lot of flips, you know, dives. That's not their style. Even though Eddie's a bit of a high flyer, he's a cruiserweight wrestler, but it's more of a technical style match. You know, it can be a little bit boring, but it's just what it is. But I'm not saying I'm not taking away out of this match, but it was a fun way to kick off the pay-per-view. Oh, awesome way to kick off the pay-per-view. Anyway, so the next match, this is an inter-promotional match. So we got Jamie Noble with his squeeze Nydia in his corner, taking on Billy Gunn with Tori Wilson, his freshly squeezed. I don't know why they call it freshly squeezed. I know it's like girlfriend, you know, something like that, you know. So, you know, Jamie Noble and Nydia, they were doing the whole trailer park couple. In kayfabe, I think this is kayfabe. This is not real life. In kayfabe, you know, Jamie Noble's family member, I think his aunt died, and his aunt was he's inherited a lot of money. You know, like, you know, Noble giving Nydia like a black coat. Anyway, so the build up to this, you know, Noble offering Tori Wilson, I think it was $10,000 to have sex with him, you know, and he kind of up the money, not price. I almost say price money, but it's actually he kind of upped the money to I think it was like $25,000. But anyway, Nydia, yeah, totally against the whole thing, because at the time Nydia and Noble in kayfabe are a couple. Anyway, I think Billy Gunn and Tori Wilson, they are a couple in kayfabe because in real life, trying to get my words out. Tori Wilson in real life, she is married to Billy Kidman. You know, married to, you know, in kayfabe, dating Billy Gunn in real life, dating another Billy Kidman. Anyway, so Noble came out, says this is my love case full of my sex toys, because he wants to have sex with Tori Wilson, because at the time Tori was a Playboy cover. She's really hot. To this day, she haven't aged a bit, you know. Anyway, so the start of this match, Noble trying to hit Billy Gunn with the briefcase or the love case, and then I think Billy opened up the briefcase. It was full of sex toys. There was a cover of Playboy magazine with Tori Wilson up in the front of the cover. You'll never see this in today's product. You know, maybe AEW will give it a go, but in WWE they will never do it because it's the public, the PG. Anyway, so this was. People find it okay. They call it a meh. To me, I think it was a fun match. You know, I think Billy Gunn's not known. I'm not saying Billy Gunn's a terrible worker. You know, you put him with the right opponent. You know, I think it could step up his A game. You know, one more of the match. You know, I think Noble did like a move off the top rope onto the ropes, and then I think Gunn catched him, but at the same time he kind of like injured his knee in the process. He still wrestled this match. You know, the whole bulk of the match, you had Noble working on the leg of Billy Gunn. I don't think Billy Gunn hit. I think he was teased to hit Noble with the Famouser, but he didn't. Out comes Nydia, wearing the black coat. This is the funny part of this match. You know, you had Jamie Noble kissing Tori Wilson, Nydia slapping Noble in the face, and then Tori Wilson hits Jamie Noble in the face. That's kind of funny. You know, Nydia, why? Because she's totally against the whole idea. It's, you know, you thought like her boyfriend's cheating on her. You know, but anyway, in the end, Noble kind of pushed Billy Gunn onto Tori Wilson, rolled him up for the win, and Tori Wilson's facial reactions. She kind of say holy shit, because she's going to end up having sex and sleeping with Jamie Noble. And then there was a segment later on the show. You know, you had Noble. I think there was a cover. Yeah, there was a cover of Tori Wilson. She was completely naked, and how the fuck it's on the network, you know? And there was some bald guy. You know, Noble's bragging about he's gonna have sex with Tori Wilson, and this bald guy with the goatee. He said to Noble like, what about Nydia? You know, the bald guy said to Noble, what about Nydia? And then Jamie Noble says, what about her? Mind your business. This is leading up to the following SmackDown. You thought, you know, Jamie Noble's gonna have sex with Tori Wilson, but instead Nydia shows up, Billy Gunn shows up, and all four people have sex in the same bed. You know, you could say a foursome with four people. You know. Billy Gunn, this is basically Billy Gunn's final match, you know, for the time being, because you won't see Billy Gunn again until 2004, because he left, he kind of took some time off because he's injured his shoulder again. He came back, had this feud with Kento Suzuki that didn't went anywhere, and then he left. He got released. You won't see Billy Gunn until a decade later. Another story of another time. Yeah, Nydia slapping Noble is basically planting the seeds of their breakup the following year. That's another story, another time. So anyway, I think it was a fun match. You know, adding the two women in this match, you know, slapping Noble, really spiced things up. I think if they take away of it, you know, it was 5 minutes. You know, they made the most for 5 minutes. You know, if it's like you know, take Nydia and Wilson out of the match, you know, even though they're not competing, they're kind of like managers of both guys in this match. It'll be like forgettable. It was slightly forgettable, but besides that, I think it was a fun match. Anyway, moving on to the next match, or I don't really call it a match, it's more of a segment. We've got the APA Invitational Ballroom Brawl. So I like this set on the stage. It's basically like a saloon if you watch like a Western movie. Anyway, the competitors in this Invitational Ballroom Brawl, we got the Brooklyn Brawler, Chuck Palumbo, Canyon. Canyon ended up like getting released the following year. The Conquistadors. They're not the original. They're a different version of the Conquistadors. They're, you know, you had Edge and Christian, but like just not like the Conquistador. Kurt Angle, did it as well. There's different versions of wrestlers dressing up like conquistadors. So the conquistadors in this Ballroom Invitational Brawl, we got Johnny. Johnny is the future member of the Spirit Squad. Rob Conway. You got the Basham Brothers, the FBI, Funaki, John Hennigan. John Hennigan is the future Johnny Nitro, part of Eminem with Joey Mercury and Melina, and also the future John Morrison. We got Matt Capitelli, because at the time John Hennigan and Matt Capitelli won Tough Enough 3. Sad for Matt Capitelli, 5 years ago. I'm talking about in our current timeline. It's sad for him because he passed away at the age of 38 back in 2018. He died young. He died of a brain tumor. It's really sad for him. Anyway, we got Matt Hardy and Shannon Moore. Orlando Jordan, Sean O'Hare. At the time, you could tell his career his time in WWE starting to fall down the cliff. He's not really doing anything because he was was mentored by Roddy Piper, but unfortunately Piper got released from the company. He got fired because of his comment of a HBO wrestling documentary. Yeah, he came back two years later to be part of the WWE Hall of Fame. Anyway, and Spanky. Spanky is Brian Kendrick. And also we got Brother Love. Brother Love is Bruce Pritchard. I don't think Brother Love fit in 2003's WWE because Brother Love is a character in the company in the late 80s, early 90s WWF. I think at the time he was not really doing anything. Anyway, he ended up leaving the company later years, going to TNA, came back. Yeah, you kind of have like on and off like terms in WWE. Anyway, so you had and also I forgot to mention Doink the Clown. Doink the Clown, that is Nick Desmore, aka the future Eugene. I forgot about him. Anyway, so Brother Love, he said to like the APA that reminds them as they were. He said about they are younger versions of the APA, used to be us the boys. I'm guessing it's referring to they're about to have sex with priests. Wow, that's like, you can get away back in 2003, but not right now. But anyway, so Brother Love kind of smacked the stool into the backs of the Conquistadors, and the APA Invitational Ballroom Brawl began. This is just a glorified brawl. I'm not saying it's a bad brawl. It was fun. It was kind of funny, but I'll get to more. I'll compare to this to the Rennick Triathlon shortly. But it was a glorified brawl. Yeah, it's just what it is. One went through the. I forgot and also you got the fucking Easter Bunny. I forgot to mention that. I forgot to mention the Easter Bunny. This is like 10 years before Adam Rose's Easter Bunny. The Easter Bunny was Aaron Stevens, aka the future Damien Sandow. Anyway, so one of the competitors in this ballroom brawl went through a fake mirror. Yeah, it was just a glorified brawl. And the funny part, like, Funaki didn't really compete in that brawl. He was drinking a lot, and then I think it was Bradshaw or Farouk. I think it was Bradshaw about to hit Funaki with a fake stall. You can't really hit someone with real stalls, It's the same stalls. You watch a fight in a TV show and a movie. They're kind of like breakable chairs, breakable stalls. But anyway, so Bradshaw was about to hit Funaki with the stall, but instead he kind of fall on his ass because he had too much to drink. That was kind of a funny way. It's a way not getting attacked by the competitors in this ballroom brawl. And the APA won. Bradshaw is the last man standing, even though Farouk is also the last man standing as well. So that's kind of a bit weird. But I wish they'd done this on SmackDown, not on a pay-per-view at the time. I said it once, say it again. I'm gonna say it many more times. Doing segments on pay-per-views simply do not work because wrestling pay-per-views are designed for the matches take center stage. If you want to do these segments, do it on a weekly TV wrestling show. But it was 4 minutes. They made the most for what it is. Comparing this to Bad Blood when they did the Redneck Triathlon, I think the Redneck Triathlon is way better than the Barroom Brawl on this show, because the Redneck Triathlon was kind of funny because you had Bischoff and Austin, they did a drinking contest, no, actually they did a burping contest, a singing contest, a pie eating contest, not eating pies, not like the Rock's pies, you had Bischoff got bronco busted by Mae Young, but that's kind of funny because it was in Austin's home state of Texas, but this, it's kind of fine, but it's just a glorified brawl, but I wish they saved it on SmackDown. But besides that, it was okay. It took a lot of time. It was just like killing time on pay-per-view. Anyway, so let's move on to the next match. So the next match, this is for the WWE Tag Team Championships. World's Greatest Tag Team, Charlie Haas and Shelton Benjamin defending the belts against Billy Kidman and Rey Mysterio. The Filthy Animals, if you don't know who the Filthy Animals are, the Filthy Animals are a faction in WCW in the late 90s, early 2000s, Ray and Kidman had the history of this group because they were in the Filthy Animals, and also they were Tag Team Champions. Oh, not really, I think they were WCW Tag Team Champions, and also they were WCW Cruiserweight Tag Team Champions. If you don't know why, look it up. The WCW Cruiserweight Tag Team Championships, it was the last championship they ever did in WCW before the company went under in 2001. Anyway, World's Greatest Tag Team, they became the World's Greatest Tag Team. This was after Angle was written off due to a neck injury. He was getting neck surgery, so they decided to call Charlie Haas and Shelton Benjamin the World's Greatest Tag Team, and that name sticks. I think they are a good tag team, very underrated in my opinion. I think they just got a really good chemistry as a tag team, Charlie Haas and Shelton Benjamin. This match is really good, on the same position as the opener, between Benoit and Guerrero for the United States Championship. This is really good. This is like OVW versus WCW because Kidman and Rey Mysterio. I think I did. I'm gonna say it again. Ray entered this match as the Cruiserweight Champion. My apologies. I think he beat Matt Hardy on a SmackDown for the belt in Ray's hometown of San Diego. Anyway, Ray and Kidman, they were in WCW. Charlie Haas and Shelton Benjamin were in OVW. That was basically the predecessor to, I think it was Deep South, then FCW, and then right now it's NXT, and then before we get called up to the main roster, be part of Team Angle. Anyway, so this match is really good. Ray and Kidman are the high flyers. Shelton did some high flying stuff, but they're more focused on the amateur style and technical style of a professional wrestler. Ray and Kidman represent the high flying part of a pro wrestler. Anyway, it was really good. Back and forth. I think one more of the match, Kidman did like a springboard shooting. Shooting star press? Yeah. I'm confusing it to RVD's 5-star frog splash. No, Kidman hit like a springboard shooting star press onto the competitors outside the ring. That was good. They end up making the storyline of his finisher, the shooting star press, being dangerous. That's the following year. That's another story, another time. But I really like this match, back and forth. To me, it was a bit rushed. Not rushed. It's a shame. This match lasted about 15 minutes. I thought it was like half an hour, man. If they went half an hour, that'd be really good. There was some chemistry between both tag teams. I think Ray hit, I think it was Haas or Benjamin with the 619, follow up with the West Coast Pop. Unfortunately, that should be the finisher, but instead the match still continue. In the end, I think Ray was going for, like a Hurricane Runner onto Shelton Benjamin, but instead Shelton Benjamin countered into it was a power bomb. It was basically a power bomb and a diving lariat combo to win this match. And World's Greatest Tag Teams retained the tag team titles. It was a good match, a really awesome match. Both guys really you could tell this show really established that SmackDown is the supreme brand. It's the wrestling show because you got the good workers stepping up up their A game. I'm gonna say it again in my overall thoughts of this show, but they really stepped up their A game, back and forth. I think they had a rematch on SmackDown, I think it was later on, probably later on in the month or something like that. It's a shame they haven't done another match on pay-per-view. I think, if they did like a ladder match, that'd be fucking good. But whatever reasons, it didn't. World's Greatest Tag Team, underrated tag team, man. They broke up, due to the draft in 2004, reunited again in 2007. This was after Charlie Haas came back from his run in the Indies, broke up again. And they reunite again, like in ROH and the Indies years later. But I think very underrated tag team, man. I hope they get inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame. Hope they do like a one-match reunion with the World's Greatest Tag Team, But I don't know. Charlie Haas is retired. I don't know, but anyway, let's move on to the next match. I'm rambling, but I advise watching this match on the network. World's Greatest Tag Team versus Rey Mysterio and Billy Kidman. So moving on to the next match. This is the weakest and the shortest match of the night, on the main show. Actually, I'm lying. The shortest match is the APA Invitational Ballroom Brawl. Anyway, this is technically the weakest match of the night. So we got Stephanie McMahon, the SmackDown GM at the time, taking on Sable. This is Sable's first match in the company for 4 years. So Sable got released in the, she was kind of like a star in the company in the Attitude Era in the 1998-99 period of WWF. Because Sable's feuding with her, real life husband Mark Merrow. And at the time, in this time period in 2003, they were still husband and wife until they got divorced the following year. And then years later, Sable married Brock Lesnar. So this was after, Sable turned heel, feuded with Tori. Not Tori as Tori Wilson, Terry Power. But, Sable quit the company in, basically, there was a unpopular backstage accident. Sable, I think it was a practical, Sean won't admit that he played a practical joke on her. It was a bad practical joke on her. So in June of 1999, Sable quit the company and filed a 110 million lawsuit against the company because she was the allegations that she was sexual assaulted and unsafe working conditions, blah blah blah. But how the fuck she came back in 2003 beats me. So during the lawsuit, Vince countered the sue over the control of the stage name Sable. So yeah, she ended up she put in a small wrestling company as her real name, Rena. But I don't know. I think that set out in court. So yeah, I think Sable's. I don't know if Sable. I think Sable. I'm not too sure. Sable's like she won the court case or lost the court case. I'm not too sure. So Sable came back in 2003 as Stephanie McMahon's assistant GM or or PA of the SmackDown GM, whatever it is. I think it's assistant. Assistant and PA is a bit same thing. But anyway, so they kind of rehashed this storyline from 2 years prior between, Vince having an affair with Linda with Trish Stratus, but this time, 2 years later, Vince having an affair with Sable. It's very funny. Like they do these angles and storylines with Vince, having sex, having an affair with younger women because I think Linda is about in her 50s, or I think she's younger than Vince. She's got to be in her 50s, at the time, dating women who's like 20 or 30 years younger than her. So 2003, there's a lot of McMahons on television. Linda appeared for a bit. She got Tombstone power drived by Kane. Vince and Stephanie had their rivalry on SmackDown. On Raw, you had Shane feuding with Kane. Anyway, so there was a segment. Before that, you had Stephanie and Stephanie and Sable. My apologies. They kind of like brawling. You had, they're kind of chasing around the car park. Steph ripping Sable's top. Before Sable getting into the limo. Then Stephanie just looked like an attendant of the arena. Like she looks like just like an usher of a cinema, and beat down Sable in the box room of an arena. So anyway, this is a no count out catfight match, and also there was one segment earlier that there's teased like Vince trying to give Stephanie the bunch of roses, but instead Vince gave her the bouquet. Anyway, Vince compete in a match against Zach Gowen. We'll get to that later on. The match between Sable and Stephanie, I don't say it's a terrible women's match. I don't think it's worthy. When I do my overall rating of the show, I'm not going to put it in the okay. I'm going to put it in the bad. It was a bit bad, but it was short for me for what it is. The last Sable match I cover in this segment was at WrestleMania 14 months ago. It was a mixed tag team match. Was Sable and Mark Merrow taking on Goldust and what's her name? Luna Vachon. That was fine because Dustin Rhodes, Mark Merrow, Luna, they are good workers, kind of carried Sable to a passable match. That's in 1998. Fast forward in 03, Stephanie's not known for her in-ring work. She's not really a good wrestler. She has been good in the ring. It was not that good. The cat fight thing, that's kind of fine. I'm trying to keep it short and simple, folks. Stephanie ripped the top off Sable, and then you got the referee, I think it was Brian Hebner, the son of Earl Hebner, covering Sable with, because at the time SmackDown had the referees of SmackDown wearing a blue top, compared right now, I think they're wearing like red, black and white top. Anyway, so out come A-Train, attacks Stephanie, and then Sable pins Stephanie for the win, and that was it. Sable didn't really do much in her second run in the company. In her first run in the company, she feuded with her real life husband Mark Merrow. She was women's champion, and that was it. And then her second run after the feud with this is more a continuation between Vince and Stephanie, leading up to the father and daughter I Quit match of No Mercy later that year. We'll get to that later on in the year, I think. But Sable didn't really do much in her second run in the company. She ended up feuding with Tori Wilson the following year, then she left. You never seen Sable, not just in WWE, but in professional wrestling ever since. I hope she came back one day, probably next year, in the Hall of Fame. I hope she gets inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame. I think she was the first woman to be in a cover of Playboy. I don't think it's China was the first woman. I think it was... Maybe it was Sable's the first woman to be into a cover, the first WWE women to be in a cover of Playboy magazine. Then it might be China, and then later on it's Trish and Leah and Tori Wilson. But anyway, I hope she'll be in the Hall of Fame soon. It's really like Sable and Stephanie's age gap. I think Sable back then, she was in her mid 30s. She was about 35. Stephanie soon to be 27. So it was about 11, I think it was 9 to 10 years, about 9 years, a 9-year gap. I don't know what Sable looks like in our current timeline, if she aged well, I don't know, but it's been a long time to see Sable on WWE program. It's been almost 20 years. So anyway, let's move on to the next match. So the next match, this is the first match ever. This is the first match. The first ever match between John Cena versus The Undertaker. So Cena debuted the company the previous year against Kurt Angle. Lost. He had a good showing. Then there was a segment later on that Undertaker really give Cena a good look. He really wished him, really give him like a well done, kid. He said, "What's your name, kid?" And Cena says, "John Cena." And Undertaker says, "John Cena." They had a segment with Undertaker and Cena collabing, interacting. Undertaker at the time was a heel. He was giving Cena some shit. And then fast forward a year later, Cena is now, he's no longer the ruthless aggression Cena. He's basically wearing the Prototype's trunks. Prototype was Cena's gimmick in OVW and the Indies. Anyway, now he's the hip hop Cena gimmick. The Doctor of Thuganomics. My apologies. He's the heel, angry hip hop rapper. The build up to this, you've seen her, rapping towards the Undertaker. He was rapping on a graveyard, pissing on a gravestone. That's a bit too much. He's pissing on a devil symbol. That was kind of really good work for Cena at the time. Really got him over doing the hip hop gimmick. The build up to this, Taker cost Cena a chance to become the United States champion. He lost to Billy Gunn in the United States Championship tournament in the first round. Building up to that, Anyway, so I think at the time Cena had a match against Orlando Jordan. That Taker was kind of sticking up towards Orlando Jordan. But I'm not gonna copy the rap of Cena. I'm not really an R&B hip hop guy. Anyway, on this match before their match, Cena did a rap. Said it rhymes feces and pieces and feces. And he's doing this like saying "stupid mother," raising the mic in the air, making the fans shout "fuck her," Anyway, so the match between John Cena and The Undertaker, I think it was a really good match. Cena is not quite big match John yet. I think the right person, like The Undertaker. Undertaker's one of the best workers at the time, the greatest wrestlers of all time. I think he carried Cena to a really good match. The whole bulk of the match between Undertaker has most of the offense than John Cena. I think Taker trying to hit Cena with the last ride. I think he counted into a DDT. And I think, and also the build up to this, Cena was starting to use the FU, that soon to become the AA, the Attitude Adjustment, as his finisher. His last finisher, I think, was a spinning power bomb, a Blue Thunder power bomb. That was not that good. Anyway, so he hit the FU on Taker, but he kicked out. I think it was one time, maybe two. Before that, Taker's mouth was busted open because I think Cena was exposing the turnbuckle pad. I thought it was like punches in the liver. He's bleeding. You thought he was like if you get punched in the liver or the kidneys, you end up bleeding. Bleeding in the mouth. Anyway, so he kind of hit Cena. Cena hit Taker with the chain. Without the referee noticing. This was after Taker is locking him. He locked him in some kind of chokehold, a rear naked choke. And Cena reached the ropes, and then Cena hit Taker with the chain. Anyway, so, and then, he hit the FU, kicked out. Cena was doing punches. He punched Taker in the corner, but Taker, is short for the Undertaker. Undertaker hit Cena with the last ride. He managed to hit the last ride because Cena cowered the first last ride attempt by the Undertaker. So Taker pins Cena for the win. They had the rematch on SmackDown that Cena gets win back. But Taker don't really necessarily need the win, but it's just whatever, man. It was good. Having Undertaker win. It really I think it's testing the waters of Cena. I think Undertaker, for John Cena, Undertaker's a gatekeeper. Single swim. If Cena can hang, I forgot to mention this. At Backlash in April, Cena had his first WWE Championship match against Brock Lesnar. I think that was a gatekeep. Single swim. If Cena's going to be soon to be a potential main eventer and a future world champion, I think he passed with ease. It was a really good match. Even though it was a bit 75% Taker, 35% John Cena, but I think they really told a good story in the match. I don't think Taker hit Cena with a single tombstone power driver. He hit Cena with the choke slam and the last ride to pin him, but not the tombstone power driver. It's a really shame they didn't have more matches between John Cena and the Undertaker. They had one more match at, I think it was on a SmackDown the following year, and then they won't have a match one-on-one until that Improv 2 match at WrestleMania in New Orleans in 2018, WrestleMania 34. But it's a shame, when in later years when Cena started to become, Super Cena, leader of the Chang Gang, Chingan, my apologies. When Cena was Big Match John, a main eventer, a top star in the company, the best time it should have really done it was WrestleMania. You know, I said it. I did my review of WrestleMania 29 months ago. I think they should have done Punk versus Rock and Taker versus Cena versus Taker at WrestleMania 29 when the streak was still on the line. You know, could be one of the top 10 or top 20 best WrestleMania matches of all time if they went on that direction. But unfortunately, for whatever reason, I don't know if Taker and Cena had bad blood. I'm not too sure. I don't want to go in. I don't want to address that. But yeah, they should have done more matches. You know, they should have done a WrestleMania match at 25 or 26, or, you know, or 27. You know, they should have done it in WrestleMania 27, but for whatever reason, you know, they didn't do more. You know, it's a disappointment. You know, there was a lot of money on the table. You know, that could be one of the best feuds. You know, whether it's in the Ruthless Aggression era or the PG era. For whatever reason, you know, they should have really done it months later at No Mercy. You know, instead of doing Undertaker, Brock Lesnar. You know, the Cena Angle match was fine. That was good. But the Taker Brock Lesnar match in the it was a biker chain on the pole match. That was shit. You know, we should have just done Cena Taker 2, you know, to end the rivalry, but it's just what it is. So let's move on to the next match. So the next match, we got Zack Gowen in his first WWE pay-per-view match against Vince McMahon. Zack debuted, I think it's around the spring and early summertime of 2003. As a kid, he was diagnosed with cancer. He had a cancer on his leg, on his femur bone. So, to stopping the cancer, you know, the disease spread to his body and kill him, they kind of amputate his leg off. So, you know, it's basically, you know, he wants to live the American dream. He wants to become a professional wrestler. You know, Vince. The build up to this, you know, he was belittling Zack Gowen. You know, calling him a freak. You know. They had an all wrestling contest, you know. It was still during this feud between Vince McMahon and Hulk Hogan when Hogan was doing the Mr. American gimmick, you know. You know, you had on a SmackDown, you had Vince basically calling the police onto Zack Gowen, said he's trespassing the ring, assaulted him, and he snatched the cane off the hands of Zack Gowen, said he's got a weapon, you know, and he keeps doing the limping gesture towards Zack Gowen, you know. I don't think it's bad. That was kind of fine, you know, because at the time Vince was super evil. You know, months later he did his remarks promo towards Paul Heyman that the Undertaker's wife is going to get raped by a motorcyclist gang, and terrorists going to blow up his house, and his children's going to get kidnapped. You know, you know, he's going to slaughter the infidel. Wow, that's crazy shit. You know, but anyway, so the build up to this, you know, Zack won a match on SmackDown. You know, Vince put Zack Gowen in a match against you know, him teaming up with Stephanie, taking on Big Show and A-Train, and that was helped by Brock Lesnar and Kurt Angle to help Zack Gowen win this match to get his WWE contract. The match was good. Yeah, he also called him a freak, and also the build to this. You had Sable trying to seduce Zack Gowen, and he kind of turned on him, says, "No, you're not a real man," because he's a one-legged guy. Anyway, so the match between Zack Gowen and Vince McMahon, I think it was an okay match. You know, even though like Zack Gowen's a one-legged wrestler, Vince was old. He was in his late 50s at the time, or soon to be in his late 50s at the time. They did put on a decent, okay match. You know, before the start of this match, you know, Zack Gowen removed his prosthetic leg. He did well. He did fine in this match. You know, he hit Vince with the I think there's an Isidey moonsault. Yeah, it was Isidey. Was it Isidey moonsault? Yeah, Isidey moonsault onto Vince outside the ring. He hit a moonsault off the top rope onto Vince. He hit Vince with a Fandanator when Vince is holding the chair. Vince was bleeding, busted wide open. Vince was like in his 50s and 60s, in that decade, in the early to mid 2000s. Vince is super jacked, man. You can tell by his shoulders and his traps, you know. people say he's on steroids, but man, he knows how to look after his body. He done a bodybuilding company back in the early 90s, but that never went anywhere. But anyway, so he's clotheslines again. Sat down was fine, even though this is Vince's first match. I think it's his first pay-per-view match since Hulk Hogan at WrestleMania 19 in March. Hogan was no longer with the company because of the creative dispute and money dispute. He ended up Hogan removed the mask, revealed who he is. And he came back 2 years later to be inducted in the WWE Hall of Fame. Had that match against Shawn Michaels at SummerSlam of that year. Anyway, so in the end, Sat Gowen's going for the 450 splash, but instead, I think it was a corkscrew or the 450 splash, but Vince got out of the way, pinned him for the victory. But I would rather have Sat Gowen getting the victory over Vince. I don't think Vince necessarily need the win, but Sat will stay in the company until 2004. You had Brock. You got brutalized by Brock Lesnar when Brock was a heel. You ended up getting pushed down the stairs by Brock Lesnar when Sat Gowen was in a wheelchair. That was a bit offensive and going too far. I think Sat Gowen said in the interview that his idea wants him getting F5 off the SmackDown fist, but they don't know how they're going to do that, how they pull it off. In the Brock, attacking bloodied Sat Gowen in front of his mother. That was fine. That was kind of like hardcore shit. They just find a way to get away from it. If they did it right now, I don't think that would be very poor taste. But back then, they can get away with it. Brock pushing Sat Gowen down the stairs. That's a bit not. That was not cool, man. That was a bit. It was like crazy, but kind of like offensive at the same time. Anyway, so moving on to, and I also forgot to mention this. He ended up he had appeared in TNA, before he was in WWE, and then he ended up wrestling in the Indies and JCW. JCW is Juggalo Championship Wrestling. So moving on to the main event. So the main event, this is a triple threat match for the WWE Championship. Brock Lesnar defending the belt against Kurt Angle and The Big Show. This is Kurt Angle's first pay-per-view match since WrestleMania 19. After his match against Brock, he dropped the belt to Brock. He ran off to get neck surgery because he injured his neck by Brock at No Way Out of February of that year in a 2-hour free handicap match. It was supposed to be a 6-man tag team match, but they ran off Edge because Edge was ran off due to a neck injury. So anyway, Kurt Angle came back. He's no longer part of Team Angle. I think at the time, similar to Sat Gowen, because Sat Gowen did live his dream. Forgot to mention that before we move on to the main event. But Sat Gowen, I know it's a short-term, run he had. I don't think he lived his dream. He kind of tag along with Hulk Hogan. I think it wasn't a tag team match with Hulk Hogan. I'm not too sure about it. I don't see Sat Gowen being WWE Championship, champion. I don't think he's going to win the WWE Championship or becoming a main eventer. He's there for the short term. I forgot to mention that, but anyway, so Team Angle, I think that was a short term thing. I don't think it's going to be a long term faction. But anyway, so Kurt came back as a babyface. I think Brock promised Angle a rematch for the championship. Brock was in a feud. He had a one-match feud with John Cena at Backlash, and then he started the feud with the Big Show. They fought in a stretcher match at Judgment Day. They fought on at SmackDown. I think it was a SmackDown in June. I think when Brock suplexed the Big Show off the top rope and the rings collapsed. That's he had Taz with that holy shit moment. Anyway, so I think Big Show was added to it because I think he's allied himself with Vince McMahon. Anyway, let's talk about this match. This match was good between Brock, Kurt, and Big Show. It was a really good match. Big Show in this match, he was it looks like $1 million in this match. He looks like a killer. Big Show in 2003 had a good year. I think 2006. I think his 2006 year for the Big Show was a bit underrated because he was the ECW champion. That's another story, another time. But in 2003, he was booked like not like a goof, but he's booked a decent guy. People, it's a mixed bag of people like the Big Show, Paul White. In 2003, he looks like he's like the booked him like a dominant guy. Even though he lost to the Undertaker. He did, but he's kind of like relevant. Anyway, so he did look like a million. He looked like $1,000,000 in this match. I think like one more of the match hit Lesnar and an Angle with the double choke slam, and I think he pinned Angle. He kicked out, or he trying to trying to pin Lesnar. I think Angle broke up the pinfall. He shouted like "you son of a bitch," something like that. It's funny. Like the last Big Show match I covered on this segment was his match against the Undertaker in a Punjabi prison match at the 2006 Great American Bash Show. It's that night and day. This was really good. He did worked his ass off in this match. The first half of the match, he had Kurt and Brock Lesnar, teaming up, because the build up to this, they were best friends. They had a friendly competition. It's funny. Like one segment on SmackDown, Kurt was drinking a lot of milk. He was about to chat with this girl. I think it was blonde, wearing a white suit, and Brock kind of pat Kurt on the back, and Kurt spat the milk onto that girl. They end up having a push-up contest, and you're not going to see this segment on the network. This was years ago. There's footage of Kurt and Brock kissing. That's a bit taste. I'm not saying in an LGBT way. It's just kind of like I don't want to get into it, but anyway, so they team up against the Big Show, and then they start to have their, typical triple threat matches in professional wrestling. Two guys teaming up, and then suddenly, which one, one trying to go for the pinfall, they break up the pin. Anyway, hit the Big Show with trash can lids, and then Brock and Angle had their fight, in that triple threat match. Anyway, Lesnar hit Angle on the head with the steel steps, banged his head on the steel steps. Angle was bleeding. Then minutes later, I think Angle hit Brock with the chair, and he was busted wide open, man. The only person who never got busted wide open is the Big Show. When Angle and Lesnar hit Big Show with the trash cans lids, I thought Big Show's gonna get his face busted wide open, but instead, and that's not the case. I think Big Show was going for the choke slam onto Kurt Angle, but Angle countered into the Angle slam. He Angle slammed Big Show through the announce table. I think Brock locked in the Taz mission. Taz putting it over because Lesnar locked in his own move. The Taz mission, or the Kaja Haja Main. That was his old original name of his submission hold in ECW. Anyway, that really gave Taz some orgasm. Yeah, Big Show broke the hold. Anyway, so in the end, I think it hit 3 Angle slams onto twice on the Big Show through the announce table in the ring. Then Angle locking the ankle lock onto Lesnar. While Lesnar's in the middle, he kind of put his shoulder through the ring post and then locking in the ankle lock, Then he hit Lesnar with the the ankle slam to win this match and win the WWE Championship. I feel like that finish when Angle hit Lesnar with the ankle slam was a bit rushed. I checked the minutes of this match. It was 17 minutes. I wish they'd gone a little bit 3 minutes long, but that's just me. But yeah, because the Vince McMahon Zach Gowen match was 14 minutes. I wish they cut that match in half and give the 7 minutes to the triple threat match. But that's just me. And anyway, so Angle winning the championship was good, because he's his first pay-per-view match back in the company since the neck injury. And yeah, I think this is the change of the guards. Lesnar was all angry because he lost the championship, but I think it was a bit rushed. I felt like Angle hit Lesnar with the ankle slam. That was it, I don't think Lesnar in this match did not hit one single F5 onto Kurt or Big Show. That was a bit odd. But anyway, I think everyone looked good in this match. Hard to really say it the match of the night. I'll get to my overall thoughts of the show later on. But anyway, Kurt Angle won the WWE Championship for the 4th time. I think it was the 4th time in his career. And, Big Show never got a sniff of the championship for a time being. He ended up, over the years, he ended up getting on chase mode, but he never, won the championship. The bridesmaid, never the bride. Even though Big Show was the WWE champion, I think it was 3 times. Anyway, so throughout the summer and the autumn time, Angle and Lesnar continued feuding. Lesnar turned heel. I think that was the right call because I think Lesnar's face turn was a bit short term. I think fans were getting sick of Brock. I think it was, I think he gets sick of the heel babyface Brock Lesnar turn. I think it's knowing that. I think he's better off as the heel. He does the heel thing better. No Paul Heyman and no Cowboy Hat, no Likey. They end up fighting at SummerSlam, and they fought on SmackDown in September in an Iron Man match that Lesnar wins back the title. And it got me thinking, you've thrown an Iron Man match on a SmackDown for free. In my opinion, I wish they did it at No Mercy to blow off the rivalry between Brock Lesnar and Kurt Angle. Instead of doing Brock versus Taker in the Biker Room chain match, or Biker chain match and the pole match, whatever it's called, but that's just me. But anyway, you can tell they need a top heel on SmackDown. Kurt was a short-term top heel. And then they tried with the Big Show. That was more like he was a short-term. I think Lesnar turning heel was the right call. Like I said, he was turning. I think you had him align himself with Vince McMahon. Doing that crazy shit with Zach Gowen, beating him up. Anyway, he remained a heel until he left the company, quit the company in 2004 after WrestleMania 20. Like I said earlier, or seconds ago, without Paul Heyman, without any cowboy hat, no Likey. Anyway, so my final reign for the first ever SmackDown and one and only SmackDown branded Vengeance. My final reign for Vengeance 2003. I give it a 10 out of 10. I think this is going to be the best brand only pay-per-view they ever did in any 2 brands. It's a really good show. It started well with the United States title match and ended well in the triple threat match for the WWE Championship. The only thing in the bad for me has to be, even though it's not truly a bad match, is Stephanie versus Sable. The OK, you got the APA Invitational Barroom Brawl and Vince McMahon versus Zach Gowen, but the good is the good. I like the opener. Eddie Benoit for the United States Championship. Jamie Noble versus Billy Gunn. That was fun to watch. The World's Greatest Tag Team. Man, that was really awesome. When they faced the Mysterio and Kidman for the WWE Tag Team Championships. Undertaker, John Cena. That was also good. And the main event was fun to watch. It's very hard. I can't tell which match, compare the contenders of this match. Who's the match of the night? You got the Benoit, Eddie, World's Greatest Tag Team versus Mysterio and Kidman. I don't really put John Cena and Undertaker there, but the triple threat match in the end, it's very hard to say. You decide in the comment section below which one's the match of the night for Vengeance 2003. So, yeah, anyway, so it's a really good show. I advise watching WWE Vengeance 2003 on the network or Peacock in America. So anyway, so that's my review of WWE Vengeance 2003. What's your thoughts on the show? Leave the thoughts in the comment section below. Smash the like button, click the like, click the bell, subscribe to the Central Man Network on YouTube. Be part of the Central Unit for more wrestling videos and more next time. So July will be soon in our rear view mirrors. August is upon us, so once again in the month of August, it's SummerSlam season. So in the month of August, I'm going to review some classic SummerSlam shows. It got me thinking. Let's go into the 1990s. Years ago I reviewed King of the Ring 1994. That's known for Owen Hart winning the 1994 King of the Ring tournament. 1 month later, he's facing his older brother Brett for the WWF Championship inside of the steel cage. Also on the same night, you had Undertaker versus Undertaker, and also it's revolved around Leslie Nielsen, the star of the Naked Gun films. How's he getting involved? Who knows? You have to wait until find out. Until then, this is the Sentiment officially signing out, and that's